I had always been a dog lover. Growing up, I had a golden retriever named Max, and after he passed, I never found the heart to get another pet. But one night, I almost did. It was 2 a.m. when I woke up, feeling uneasy. At first, I thought it was just a bad dream, but then I heard the faintest scratching sound coming from my bedroom window. I live on the ground floor of a small apartment complex, facing the back alley where the streetlights barely reach. As I pulled back the curtain, my heart skipped a beat. A dog stood there. Its fur was dark, matted, and dirty, and its eyes reflected the moonlight in a strange way. Too bright, too unnatural. It was staring directly at me. I hesitated. It wasn't uncommon to see stray dogs in the neighborhood, but something about this one felt wrong. Its body was rigid, completely still, except for the slow movement of its chest as it breathed. Let me in. I stumbled backward, nearly falling onto my bed. My breath hitched. My mind raced through every possible explanation. Sleep paralysis. A dream. A trick of the wind. Let me in. You have to let me in. I clenched my fists, trying to shake the fear from my body. The air felt heavier and my skin crawled with an overwhelming sense of dread. Then I remembered something. A post I had read online, years ago. A strange, cryptic warning that had gone viral. If you see a dog outside your window at 2 a.m., let it in. I never understood it. Thought it was just another internet horror story. But now I was living it. And I had a choice to make. I looked back at the dog. It hadn't moved. Still staring. Still waiting. My hand hovered over the window latch. What would happen if I let it in? And more importantly, what would happen if I didn't? My fingers trembled over the window latch. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to back away, to pretend I never saw the thing outside. But that warning, if you see a dog outside your window at 2 a.m., let it in. It meant something. I swallowed hard. The dog didn't move, but I could feel its patience thinning. Its eyes, wide and unnatural, gleamed like two glass marbles in the dark. You don't want to make me wait. A cold shiver ran down my spine. The voice had changed. It was no longer my mother's. It was mine. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. The dog tilted its head, almost as if it was amused by my reaction. I wanted to run. I wanted to leave the room, go hide under the covers like a child. But something told me it wouldn't matter. It had found me. Then I heard something else. A sound from inside my apartment. A soft, slow creak, like a door opening on its own. I turned my head toward my bedroom door, now slightly ajar. I was certain I had closed it before I went to sleep. The hallway beyond was pitch black, but I could feel it. Something was in there. A pressure built in my skull, a sickening static hum that made my vision blur at the edges. It was as if reality itself was fraying apart. The dog outside took a step forward, pressing its matted fur against the glass. Let me in. I didn't know what to do. The post, the warning, it had to mean something. But what if it was a trap? Then from the hallway I heard a whisper. Don't. I froze. The voice was faint, distant, but unmistakably familiar. It was my own voice again, but this time it came from the darkness inside my apartment. I turned my head just slightly, and in the dim light, I saw it. A shape. A figure. Me. I was standing in the hallway watching myself. My mouth was open, my lips moving, but no sound came out. The only thing I could hear was that unbearable humming in my skull. The dog outside scratched the glass violently now, its patience clearly running out. Two versions of myself. Two choices. The dog outside. The thing in the hallway. Which one was the real danger, and which one was trying to help me? I had to decide. Now. The dog's fur brushed against me as it lunged through the window. Its body was cold. Too cold. And the moment we made contact, my skin prickled like 1,000 needles had pierced through me. And then, everything shifted. It was like my soul had been ripped from my body and shoved into something else. A sickening pull, a heavy force dragging me down, down, down. I gasped, or at least I thought I did. But no breath left my lungs. Instead, I felt breath, hot and quick, pushing through my nose in short bursts. I tried to scream. I tried to move. But something was wrong. I wasn't standing anymore. I was on all fours. The world around me blurred, spinning into streaks of darkness and light. I stumbled forward, but my limbs felt foreign. My fingers. Where were my fingers? Panic set in, but then I saw myself. I saw my body, standing by the window, and it was grinning at me. The thing wearing my skin flexed its fingers, rolling its shoulders, as if getting used to the way my body moved. Then it turned, stretched its arms, and let out a sigh of deep, satisfied relief. I tried to speak, but all that came out was a strangled whimper. No, 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 no. I lunged forward, trying to grab it, trying to shake myself awake from this nightmare. But my legs stumbled, unsteady. I collapsed onto the floor. Pause. I had pause. I scrambled to the mirror, heart hammering in my chest. And when I looked, I saw it. A dog. Matted fur. Dark eyes. My human mind trapped inside a stray dog's body. I staggered back, paws slipping against the floor, my tail, a freaking tail, tucking between my legs. This isn't real. This isn't real. But then I saw my human self turn toward me. It crouched down, that same twisted grin plastered on its face. Finally it sighed, flexing my fingers. I thought I'd be trapped forever. My stomach dropped. Trapped. I growled. Not because I wanted to, but because the sound ripped out of me, my new body reacting on instinct. Oh, you'll get used to it, the thing in my body said. Took me a while too. It stepped closer, tilting its head. How long do you think it will take for you? And then, before I could react, it opened the window. I barely had time to move before it grabbed me and shoved me out into the cold night. The window slammed shut behind me. I clawed at the glass, barking, screaming, but all that came out were desperate, guttural yelps. My human self, or rather, the thing inside my body, watched me for a moment. Then with a smirk, it drew the curtains. And just like that, I was gone. The world outside was different. The cold seeped into my bones as I stumbled through the empty streets, my paws aching against the pavement. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what to do. All I knew was I had to fix this. I wandered for what felt like hours, my new body growing tired. The city stretched on endlessly, unfamiliar and unkind. People passed me on the street, but they didn't stop. They didn't look. To them, I was just another stray. Then in the distance, I heard something. A faint whispering voice carried by the wind. I turned toward the sound. And I saw her. An old woman stood beneath a street lamp, wrapped in layers of tattered fabric. Her eyes, dark and knowing, locked onto mine immediately. She knew. I hesitated, my paws frozen to the ground. Then she spoke. "He took your skin, didn't he?" I whimpered. Her expression darkened. "Come, child. We don't have much time." I didn't have any other choice. I followed her into the shadows. The old woman, Madame Vasora as she called herself, led me through winding alleys and abandoned streets until we reached a crumbling old building. Inside, The air smelled of herbs and burning incense. Candles flickered along the walls, casting shadows that twisted unnaturally. She knelt before me, her fingers brushing the fur on my head. He was the last one, wasn't he? I didn't know what she meant, but I barked in response. She sighed. The cursed one before you. You let him in. You traded places, just as he once did. My stomach twisted. This had happened before, many times. I wasn't the first, and if I didn't break the curse, I wouldn't be the last. Madame Vasora grabbed a rusted dagger from a nearby table. She looked me in the eye. To undo what has been done, you must spill his stolen blood before sunrise. I tensed. She meant I had to kill him, the thing wearing my skin, before it was too late. I ran. My new body moved faster than I ever could have imagined. My paws barely made a sound against the pavement as I tore through the city streets, heading back home. The sky was shifting. The deep purple of the night was beginning to fade, warning me that dawn was approaching. I had minutes, maybe less. As I reached my apartment, I saw him. Me. Standing outside, stretching, inhaling the morning air like it belonged to him. I snarled. His head snapped toward me, eyes widening in shock. He knew. I didn't hesitate. I lunged, knocking him to the ground. He fought back, but his stolen body was sluggish, unsteady. He hadn't fully settled into it yet. I bit his wrist, my wrist, and he howled in pain. Then, before he could throw me off, I felt something cold press into my mouth. The dagger. Madame Vasora had given it to me. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I bit down and drove the blade into his chest. His scream shattered the air. A shockwave of energy burst from his body, sending me tumbling backward. The world around me blurred, and then I was falling back into my own body. I gasped, sitting upright. I was me again. My hands, my skin, my heartbeat, all mine. At my feet, the dog lay still. Its body twitched, convulsed, and then, with one last breath, it was gone. Only a pile of dust remained. I staggered to the window, looking outside. No dogs. No figures. Just the morning light creeping in. I had broken the curse. But as I turned away, my blood ran cold. Because etched into the glass, in scratched handwriting, were 4 simple words. If you see a dog,